Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I get to do a diagnosis on a reel I haven't seen in quite some time. This is the Shakespeare, the SKP 3000. It's a round bait casting reel, and as they used to say back in the day, nice reel. However, this one's got a very odd performance issue to it. You can turn it, and every rotation seems to have a sticking point where you have to work through that. Now, I don't know if that's dirt, if that's broken line, if that's a broken gear, or something else. And I really don't know if this reel can be repaired, but we're going to find out. Or at least we're going to try and figure out why this reel failed, and we'll see if we can bring it back into working order. Well, if you like these kinds of videos, if you enjoy learning about fishing reels, how they're made, how they're used, how they're abused sometimes, why they break, and how to repair those breaks if possible, then I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. It'll let you know when I am posting the videos. Well, this channel is all about teaching you how to do it yourself, and a lot of times the do-it-yourself part of it is the diagnosis. That's where a lot of people don't know what the issue is. And I get a lot of questions in my forum every now and then. Why does my bail not trip? Those kinds of questions. But I also get the questions about some oddball stuff that, quite honestly, it's hard to say what the cause of it is without seeing the reel. Well, even when you see the reel like this one, sometimes it's hard to figure out what the cause is as well. So we're going to take this off. Interesting, it's stuck on the one piece that it shouldn't be stuck on. We can see that it hasn't been serviced in a very long time. That's dirt and debris and rust on this one. I don't know, looks like a 4/0 steel wall. It's two brakes on here. Let's get rid of those brakes. Let's see if we can't clean up the gumminess here. But the gumminess isn't, I don't think, isn't going to be the primary issue with this reel. But let's clean that up nonetheless. So this reel says it was made in China, so it's probably less than 20 years old. Not sure of the exact dating on it, but Shakespeare made a nice entry-level product. I'm just checking with my fingers now, make sure that that isn't an issue there. I don't mind discoloration, but if it's burrs, the burrs could have that issue with the skip. So these were sent in with 3 others, and all of them have been heavily used. There's no question about that. These were sent in by Michael. And they've all been heavily used, but that doesn't mean they can't be running again. Now what we'll do is, with the reel main gear off, we're going to turn this, make sure that it's not the line guide. There's a little bit of skippiness in that line guide, but you can see there's a lot of dirt here as well. So one of the things we would like to do as we do the diagnosis and the potential repair, we would like to make sure that at least we take the moment to clean this stuff. So I'm going to just spray this down. I'm going to use a penetrating oil to dissolve the dirt and grease on this. Again, penetrating oil isn't going to solve much, but it will at least allow us to clean this up and get a look inside on that reel. And while I'm at it, I think what we'll do is move this over to the side here. We'll pull the pawl, because what I've found in Michael's other reels is these pawls have been very dirty. But I think this is a gear side issue, not a pawl. Sometimes a sticking pawl can cause a skip like that. So let's just see. When I do that, I like to kind of tap it down. Nice solid tap, and then once you get that piece protruding, and pull it out the rest of the way. And this one, just like the other ones, is really tight. It's not helping it. It's gummed up. So I'm going to just give it a quick squirt here. I'm going to use a bristle brush. Now you can see why I use this glove. I have to keep a lot of the dirt and debris off my hands. And the oils as well. Okay, the pawl is off. I'm going to clean out the cavity here as well. So I'm not quite sure where Michael fishes these reels, but one of them came in very, very dirty. Almost like it was sitting in the mud. The rest of them not so much. But with that penetrating oil, you can see how it will clean this up. And again, these SKPs, they were nice reels. They kind of competed against the Abu Ambassadors at a lower price point. And I never found anything wrong with them. Very much the standard design of a round bait caster. And again, they're calling this one an SKP 3000. It was a 2000. That was a smaller framed reel. Overall, nice reels. And again, for the price paid, they were very good. All right, we've cleaned that up. A little bit more here. So the frame is clean. We've cleaned the pawl up. I'm going to shoot a little bit of oil onto the pawl as we go to reinstall it. Again, it's not traveling through this very easily. There we go. All right. Put the cover back. We'll put a drop of oil on there. We got some oil on there from the cleaning. Put a drop of oil on there again. And as I say on almost all of my videos, if you're taking the time to service your reel, make sure you're using fishing reel oils and greases as part of that service. In the case of that squirt bottle there, that is Lucas fishing reel oil. I like it because it has the oil in there. And once you put that in, just make sure that it's turning. And we're not seated in the worm gear, so just slide it. Retighten. Still not right there. And it's an iterative process to get that reseated. Okay, I think we got it now. That tink you're hearing in the back is the clicker. All right, let's get over to this gear side, find out what in the world is going on over here then. So that's off the reel now. And other than that being sticky, it seems like this is working now. So maybe, just maybe, it's been a matter of that sticky spool with all the old dried grease on it not engaging or disengaging properly. I'm going to clean the back rim first. And let's go ahead and see what's underneath this reel. It's been quite some time that since I've serviced one of these, so I'm going to say this reel is at least 20 years old. But that's not a problem. If you keep them maintained, they can fish on. The issue at this point with the age of the reel would be in trying to get replacement parts. Okay, this is a good place to tell you if you're not familiar with the reel that you're working on, stop and take pictures along the way. Those pictures may become invaluable as you go to reassemble the reel. You may be stuck. You may be wondering where your pieces and parts go, and maybe you were in a hurry to take them off and didn't realize the order or the sequence of them. So taking the pictures certainly will help you. All right, we're cleaning up as we go along here. We can remove our star adjuster now. This is an aluminum case, so it is a lightweight reel. And I'm just curious. You should have a direct drive on this, so it shouldn't be an issue. I'm seeing a lot of dirt and debris right away, so typically that tells me that the inside of this is going to be a mess. But I've been fooled before, so let's see. 2 more screws to take out to get to the inside. And when I take my pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. I use a fast food container. It's got 9 corners in it, or 8 corners in it in the center. And what I generally try to do with it is segment out the pieces and parts of the sub-assemblies by different areas. So you can see there's an example of what I'm doing with that parts tray. Those 2 screws came out. We should be able to lift the cover. We definitely have a lot of debris in here. But we're going to continue on the theme here in the hopes that we can get this thing cleaned up and going again. I'm going to, right now I don't see any broken part shooting out at me here. So generally speaking, I'm going to say that the initial issue was that dirt and the sluggishness of that spool. All right, we should be able to pull these two little springs out. Very important to treat them as your friend. Move them out. There's a third one up top here too. Thought so. The third one is shorter, so note that as you take these off, two long springs below, shorter one above. We should be able to pull this up. It has an anti-reverse dog. That is a finger dog. So make sure that gets knocked out of the way or taken up with the main gear. We'll just take it out of the way for now. You're clearly I'm going to try and take two screwdrivers, just lever it under the case, see if we can. There we go. Must be some dirt and debris on that shaft as well. Pull that up and out. We can see we have a whole bunch of dirt on here as well. Once you have that main gear and shaft off, go ahead and pull the pinion gear assembly. And then we should be able to remove the spring here for your trip assembly. I think either side will work. I'm going to use a small kind of a micro pliers for this. There we go. I'm going to swing that to the side, and I should be able to slide this up and out now. And we got a lot of dirt here, so again, I'm thinking dirt is the cause of this issue, because again, there's no broken parts sitting here. I'm going to clean the dirt. I'm going to clean out the backing plate. And this is typical of what I found on the other reel as well. So I guess there's no real surprises there. Again, take your pictures. You want to make sure you notice the differences in positions of the pieces and parts. I think we can probably get this off now. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that's stuck on there with that screw. This is a screw-in piece. That's okay. All right, let's see if we can run something down here. And just snip the end of this off here. Just want to make sure there's no dirt in there. There seems to be some difficulty getting that on and off. Not sure why, but I want to make sure that that operates smoothly. Now we're going to clean that part up. All right, this goes in now. And that's how it should look now, just the way we found it. I want to put a little bit of grease onto our gear shaft. I'm going to bring the shaft over and down. And then the best way to install this finger joint, just roll it over. There's a little bit of a wiggle involved. And then you can test it. Now this is going to be held in by the outside of the case, so I'll hold my finger there. As you're cranking, it's fine. As you go to back it off, pulls it in to stop it. That is your anti-reverse. Next up then, we're going to remove our pinion gear here, clean that. Again, there seems to be some dirt in here, and again, when we were doing this before, the thought was there might be a broken tooth or a tooth that's jammed up with something. So this is where you want to pay close attention as you're working on it. I'm going to grab a small micro driver. I'm going to pull it through each tooth, make sure that the pinion gear is not jammed. Based on the condition of the reel, based on what I saw on Michael's other reels, there's a lot of dirt out there and that could affect the performance. Alright, we know that these are the ones that are going to be facing outwards. the slotted side of the spool faces, pinion gear faces in towards the spool. So it goes on like that. Once you put that on, you can put a little bit of grease on. Then we can bring this back in and over. You want to do this before you load your main gear. Okay, that's that part. Let's go to the main gear then. We have a drag washer underneath. Let's see what we have on this side. We have one on the inside of this as well. These washers look fine. It's not the issue. Just inspecting the teeth. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to spray this down. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to pull through on this. I'm going to use a bristle brush and pull through. Again, because if there's something in the teeth, that would cause that little portion of the reel to hiccup. And I'm not seeing it, so that's good news. Alright, the drag washers are in good condition. The teeth appear to be in good condition. We're going to put some fishing reel grease on here. I'm using Penn Precision reel grease for this. Again, not impartial to a particular brand, but please use the fishing reel greases as you go about doing that. Take our main gear and place that over, and then merge that with your pinion gear. Clean up the outside of your cap washer, bring that over. We can reseat our two big springs. They go on each side of the posts for the pinion gear. The smaller one goes up top. Looks like we have some washers high and low on the spacer here. That washer in. This is actually a bearing. The bearing's actually working. That's a surprise to me given the rust and the like. So what I want to do here again, clean the exterior because that's going to seat in the case. And it could be that that external race has something to do with it. Okay, that can come in. First of several washers going up top. There's a series of these. And I place them belly to belly. Spacer up top. Let's take a look on the inside. The inside is okay. There's nothing in here that's going to be causing that skip. And we did note that when we took this off, it was spinning, so I'm not quite sure what the issue is or if we've resolved it simply by cleaning the reel up. We're certainly going to find out in a very few moments here. All right, springs are in, spring is on, anti-reverse dog is on. We can bring the case over. We want to seat the case, make sure that it's tight all the way around the rim on the seams. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, the process, how to go about servicing it, maybe even back to where we were doing the diagnosis on this one, trying to figure out what's going on with your reel. Any of those questions, please leave them in the comments section. I will try to answer those for you. And generally, I answer those in the mornings following the videos. So if you're be a little bit patient with me, I do try to get answers out, which is getting harder and harder to do with almost 40,000 subscribers now. But I've been trying to be true to that and trying to answer your questions and concerns. Okay, we're putting the star adjuster on now. I'm holding the center post so that I can get a firm turn with that. Tighten it down, make sure you go below the shoulder, otherwise you're going to have an issue with the handle locking into it. So the only other thing I noticed was it was tough for me to get that pawl into the cavity. I'm wondering if a replacement pawl may be needed. Not sure. But I think we did what we needed to do here. So next up we have a very small washer that goes on top. Then we have our E-clip goes on. Well, bad news to report on this one. I did make sure that everything was working gear side, and we were still getting that erratic behavior of the pawl. And I come over here to check the idler gear, and it's hard, it may be hard to see, but we've got missing teeth here that drive the worm gear, and broken here, and unfortunately that part is just not available. So well, it was a good attempt. It was a nice way to understand a little bit about the fishing reel structure, its design, and how it works. But unfortunately, due to the fact that we no longer have replacement parts for this reel, we're just plain out of luck. So, lessons learned. There's never a poor experience when you're going about it. You always hope to give the reels a second chance. Sometimes that's just not possible because the manufacturer no longer supports the parts. And I can understand that. The reel is 20 years old, and well, at some point in time, the parts that they may have put aside as repair parts, they get exhausted, and then, well, it's time for a new reel. So, unfortunately, that's the way we're going to have to leave this project. We did find out what the root cause of the issue was. It was two things. It was a little bit of a bent pawl, and more importantly, it was a broken idler gear that can't drive the worm gear. When it can't drive the worm gear, you're kind of without resource in terms of moving your line guide back and forth. What can you do? You can remove that the pawl and the line guide assembly, and you can fish this as a non-level line reel, but you can't fish this any longer as designed. Well, as I mentioned, there's no bad experiences. They just add that to your learning bag. You call that one a tuition reel, and you can hear it right now clicking away with the issue that you have with the broken idler gear. All right, well, lessons learned. I hope you've enjoyed that. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. Truly appreciate what it is you do day in and day out, how you protect us, keep us out of harm's way. I want to thank everybody who's been watching. I appreciate your contributions. I appreciate your questions, your resources, your participation in the channel forums, and your watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.